in the Bahamas.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Ladera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift, on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. It's a pleasure to be in your company today. Forgive me for the late start. I had already pulled up at the station parking lot when I realized that I left my laptop case in the bank. Yeah, so I had to dash back to the bank and dash back here and run up 3 flights of stairs to get the show started. So my apologies for the late start. But I promise you it's going to be worth the wait, because we're going to be talking about a topic today that is still pretty much relevant, because yesterday was Father's Day. And I want to wish a happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I didn't get to or remember to wish you guys Father's Day on Friday. So happy Father's Day to all of you out there. I hope you had a good one. I hope you got more than crab and rice, because I see that's the thing now. Y'all ain't want more crab and rice. So y'all want expensive gifts like the mothers get. So I hope it was a good one for you. I personally spoke to my dad yesterday for a couple of minutes, and it was good to hear his voice and to know that he is doing well, well into his 80s, because he think he's still 35, but that's another show. And before I continue with bringing on my guests, I also didn't get to do this on Friday. And I would be remiss if I did not say congratulations to the Golden State Warriors and our very own Bahamian boy by descent, Klay Thompson, on putting a beating on the Boston Celtics. Anybody who beat the Boston Celtics is good with me, because I hate them. And will always hate them. I ain't my brother could go play for them, and I can play against them. That's how much I hate the Boston Celtics. So, this go long. Listen. You understand? I'm a Laker girl, so Boston is just pulling for them. It's not an option. I was vexed they get that far. So anyhow, I like how Klay represented. Draped himself in that Bahamian flag, sent a shout out to his family here in the Bahamas. After the game was over, he was in the locker room celebrating with Junkanoo music. So if there's any doubt, you all now know that's a Bahamian boy. Father Michael Sweetbells Thompson, the first foreign-bred, first-round pick number one in the NBA in the history of the National Basketball Association. So he could come from good stock. And one thing we know about Michael Thompson is that he has always carried his nation with pride. Every opportunity he gets over the many years he played in the NBA and still today, he talks about his beloved Bahamas, and clearly he instilled that in his sons. So congratulations to the Golden State Warriors and our very own Klay Thompson. Bravo for putting that beating on the Boston Celtics. And all y'all Celtics fans, so sad, too bad. I hope you never win another championship. But I being petty. Okay. My producer's shaking his head. He must be pulling for the Celtics, but too bad. I ain't care. Hate y'all for life. Anyway, okay. Now, let's get serious. Because we're going to be talking about a topic that is so important. I want you to bring in the guest for me, please. Jason. I'm calling the show today, Daddy Dearest, the importance of fatherhood. We know that Mother's Day, mothers get a lot of props and accolades on Mother's Day, and they're celebrated, and rightfully so, because we have a lot of mothers who are acting as mommy and daddy. But that is not the original plan. And whenever you tamper with an original plan, you shouldn't be surprised when things don't go the way the manufacturer of that thing intended. So we're going to be talking today about the importance of fatherhood, because whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, fathers play or should play a very significant role in the development of their children. So much so that if they are absent from their children's lives, that will tell in those children's lives well into adulthood, and obviously impact the welfare of our society. So today on the show, we're going to be calling it Daddy Dearest. We're going to be talking about the importance of fatherhood. And we have some great men here on the panel who are going to be a part of the show today. And we are going to be joined today by one Lynden Williams, who comes to the panel today with a great degree of knowledge. He's native of the Bahamas and ordained minister of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He has worked for the Seventh-day Adventist Church since 1994 and served in several capacities. And he is very strong in the communications field and very passionate about what we're going to be talking about today. So he is an electrician apprentice. His work history includes electrician apprentice, Bible worker, religious knowledge teacher, district pastor, assistant communications director, Sabbath school coordinator, spirit of prophecy coordinator, Bible student coordinator, information technology, and administrator. And he holds a master's of arts in personal theology. And he calls himself a knowledge junkie. And he's going to be bringing some of that knowledge to us today as it relates to the importance of fatherhood. Mr. Williams, welcome to GPS.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Also joining us, let me pull up his profile, is Dr. Leslie V. McMillan. And he was born here in the Bahamas and is the fourth of 5 sons devoted to the Seventh-day Adventist parents of Daniel and Pearl McMillan. He has served the Seventh-day Adventist Church for more than 43 years as a pastor of Grantstown, Johnson Park, and New Providence Seventh-day Adventist churches. And his service continued as youth departmental director before becoming an administrator, serving as president of the then Cayman Islands Missions and Belize Mission before taking up the presidency of his home field, the Bahamas Conference. And so I want to welcome Pastor McMillan. He's retired from the service and has dedicated his time to the continued preaching of the gospel while serving as the director of the Millennial Inspirational Finance Institute, Inc., an IRS designated 501(c) public charity. Welcome to you, sir, Dr. McMillan. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me? Are you muted? I think you're muted, Dr. McMillan. Okay, we're still unable to hear him. So he's still muted. Your microphone is still muted. So I need you to unmute your microphone for me, please. Jason, see if you can do it for him. All right, so welcome to you both while we work that out. So William, since you could hear us and your microphone is unmuted, let's start with you. How important is the father figure to the family and to the society at large?
For me, the father figure, good afternoon, everyone, to you and your viewers, is very important because, as you said initially, God designed that a couple would bring children into the world and raise them. That is the divine model, the pattern. And so we need both mother and father. But since our emphasis today is on fathers, the father therefore becomes the stability, the rock, so to speak, to help guide, excuse me, and give direction to the family. And as I said someplace else at another time, in particular, when you're dealing with boys, after boys reach a certain age, they're looking for someone who will be the pack leader, so to speak. And they do not see women as falling in that category. And so when there is no pack leader at home and they cannot find a pack leader elsewhere within their immediate circle, very often they go outside the home. And this is where gangs, etc., come in, because they're still looking for that leader, that male figure who can help transform them from being a boy into a man. And so the father is there to help guide that process. What does it mean to be a man? How should you act? What is expected of you? How do you treat women? All of these things are important for a father today in raising children. But I'm thinking right now, particularly as it relates to boys becoming men.
Well, quite frankly, the role of the father is important for both sexes, male and female, and we're going to talk about that. Okay, Dr. McMillan, are you up?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts on this subject? Why is the father figure so important to the development of a child and to society at large?
The why. Can you hear me? Am I being heard? Okay,
yes, we're hearing you.
I am not good at why questions, right? Because any answer to a why question is as good as any other answer. And so the why, it's because they are the fathers, right? They have their role. Without the father, there isn't going to be the child. The sperm has to connect with the egg. Now, if anybody asks why must an egg be connected by a sperm, who can answer that? You can have a million answers for that, but that's what it is. So, as I said before, my mind is such that why questions, I am not good at them. All I can say is the why is because I am a father, and every other father is the father, and it is his egg or his sperm that cracked the egg, and so that's it. So that answers for me the why.
While we're waiting, I'd also like to say, as our guest mentioned, not just the males, but also females. What should a female expect from a male? What should a young lady expect from a life partner? How should she relate to him? How should he relate to her? The ideal is that these things would be learned inside the home, that both parents, father and mother, would model and would teach these principles to the children, so that at the ending of the day, the children coming up would know.
Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
Understand, hey, this is what is expected of me by society. What does God expect of me? And when,
Okay,
as I said, when we have that,
play a break from the station. Let's take a quick
just
break.
realized I was muted. Sorry. When we have the union of both father and mother working together for the good, for the upbringing of the children, both male and female, we have a better home, we have a better society. We would have less problems.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach.
great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
All right, back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5
FM. Michelle Malcolm here, and I do apologize. We're having some technical challenges. Our internet dropped, and so therefore we lost our guests from the radio end because our guests are joining us via the internet. So we now have joining us Elder Dave Williams. We also have on the line Lynden Williams, and I see Dr. Leslie McMillan has turned off his camera. Hopefully he can turn that back on so we can get him in on this conversation. Elder Dave, welcome to GPS. Welcome to the show. Prior to you coming on, we were talking about the original intent as it relates to the family. You've got the mother, the father, the children. And the challenge is, in our society today, particularly here in the Bahamas, we have tampered with that original model. And now a vast majority of our homes are missing the father figure. What does that say? What does that spell for us down the road as it relates to our society and the children that are being raised in this environment? What are your thoughts? Lynden, I know you had started to say something and you were talking for quite some time, but unfortunately we couldn't hear you because our internet dropped out. So let's get you to say everything that you were saying before, and then we'll get Elder Dave and Dr. Leslie McMillan back in the conversation.
Sure. What I was saying is, in addition to the male child, we also have to look at the female, and that's a point that you brought out earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What should a young lady expect from a future mate? How does a father model that example for her? How should she relate to someone? So all of these things, fathers would be responsible for relaying or conveying by precept as well as by practice. What they do, how they do it, that is important. And what I'm saying is that when we have both parents in the home, which is God's ideal, the offspring of that child has a better chance of understanding how family should be. And when we have a family designed the way God designed it to be, we will have less problems with, the crime that we presently face in the country. So we have a better community, and it all bodes well. And so the role, therefore, fathers is quite important, critical as the leader, as the one who will take responsibility, help to see that certain things get done, and to give guidance to the family.
Okay. Okay, great. Dr. McMillan, let's get you in here. What are your thoughts on, well, actually his camera is turned off again. So Elder Dave, let's go to you. What are your thoughts on the importance of the father figure as a very critical part of that foundation that has to be what holds up the house? What are your thoughts on the role of the father, particularly in our environment where there are so many homes that do not have a father figure in them?
Michelle, what I will share is some information. I'm reading the book, The Fatherhood Principles by Dr. Miles Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of things he mentioned. He talked about children in fatherless homes are 5 times more likely to be poor. He talked about the infant mortality rate 1.8 times more higher.
Which by the way, we are just learning that infant mortality rate in the Bahamas has increased drastically.
Yes, I heard it on the news this morning. That's correct.
Yeah.
I heard it on the news this morning.
Yeah.
And he talked about, and this is part of the National Fatherhood Initiatives on the effect of fatherless homes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe this information came directly from the United States. It talked about youths in father-absent households still had significantly higher odds of incarceration than those in mother-father families. And of course, I can testify to that, having conducted surveys in Maximum where 80% of the men in there indicated that they grew up without a father. It talked about being raised by a single mother raised the risk of teenage pregnancy. It talks about fatherless children are twice as likely to drop out of school. And talks about compared to living with both parents, living in a single parent home doubles the risk that a child will suffer physical, emotional, and educational neglect. So these statistics and this information alone points out to, as a result of the lack of fatherless homes, we use that term, right? It has such a negative connotation on children. And so I believe that and there are, of course, there are the solutions. And so I believe that we as men, as fathers, as father figures, ought to do our part in returning our children, or I should put it this way, do our part in guiding and directing our children, right? Of course, as usual, it all begins with, we encourage fathers to begin or to start with that relationship with Christ, because it's very important to give them that guidance, that moral set. Because when I look at the Bahamas, Michelle, and the things that has happened, the way we grew up, even though we were not, our mothers would not, what we would use the term Christian, but she still gave us moral guidance. She trained us, and as you know, me and my brother are on today. And so she trained us based on what she knew. And so those principles, those Christian principles, those morals that were established, I believe gives credit to the reason we are where we are today. So I'm just going to allow the rest of your guests to share.
Okay, now Dr. McMillan is back on, but his camera is turned off and his microphone is muted. So we'll see when he pops up to add him back into the conversation. So here's the thing. We're not talking. Okay, Dr. McMillan is back up. Dr. McMillan, let's finally hear from you in this conversation. What are your thoughts on the importance of the father figure in the home? Dr. McMillan, can you hear us? No, okay, he keeps muting himself. Okay. His microphone was open and then he muted himself and turned off his camera. So clearly Dr. McMillan is not familiar with the technology that we're using, and hopefully he'll figure it out as we go along so we can hear from him. All right. I think it's important for us to point out here that we are not talking about bodies. We're talking about good father figures, because you could have a home where there is a male in the home who is doing more damage than good. Okay, Dr. McMillan, don't touch nothing. I can see you. Your mic. Oh God, he keeps muting his microphone. Touch the microphone again, Dr. McMillan. Touch the microphone again so we can get you in here. He's not figuring it out. Okay, we're not talking bodies, gentlemen. We are talking good fathers, because like I said, you could have a male in the home who is doing more damage than if he were not there. So I want to make it clear that we're not saying today on this show that you just have to be there, but not make a valuable contribution to the development of your children. And I want you men to speak to that, because as a female, I think it'll be swallowed better coming from you guys than from me, because some people, can't hear them kind of things from a female without trying to make it seem like there's some kind of agenda, when nothing could be further from the truth. The truth is the truth. So I want you gentlemen to speak to that, please. Lynden, we can go with you.
Sure. As you said, it's more than just presence. It has to do with participation. And this is where each individual fights in his own armor. I remember when I first started out, after preaching my first sermon as an intern at the Centerville Seventh Adventist Church, that week when I met with the senior pastor, he gave me some directives or pointers, but he says, fight in your own armor, be yourself. And so in leading out in the home, you must be yourself. There are different personality types. I know of some persons who are just the jovial, the happy-go-lucky. Then you have the more stern and rigid individuals. You may have the more quiet, sometimes it would seem passive individuals. But the main thing is that we seek to fulfill certain core principles as fathers. Spirituality, working with the mother, presumably the wife, when it comes to a relationship to finances. And I'd like to say something here. that I've seen different couples with different modules. Some use a harmony pot. You throw everything into that pot and you pull from that one pot. I know of situations where when it comes to finances, some man says, well, my wife deals with that. We work out a plan. She distributes money, etc. But the main thing is make sure that certain things are being done. Someone is doing it. When it comes to taking care of the children and doing certain other things, for example, in our home, my wife has been the main one who has been working with the children with their homework. I have pretty much been covering the school fee. I do drop-offs, I do pickups. I will be the one who generally attend the game with my son when he played basketball, etc. And so I made sure that when she was not able to do certain things, I would do certain things. And so that's what I'm talking about when it comes to contribution, when it comes to leading out, making your presence felt. I was the one who gave my son a cutlass, we would say in the Bahamian vernacular, at age 12 or 13, and brought him into the yard with me and showed him how to swing it. When some other person's heart started racing, what are you doing? I started teaching him how to drive, I think at about age 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling my daughter now, you need to remind me, make sure I don't forget it. You need to start your driving lessons. This is the summer, let's get busy. And so what I'm saying is that different persons find different ways of doing the same thing. I emphasize that because sometimes we tend to look at the A-type leadership as being the only one. And I say, no, utilize different models, but seek to make sure that it gets done when it comes to being a father in the home.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I removed Pastor Elder Dave from the stream just until he gets to where he's going, because it was very distracting to see him walking, and it was very distracting. So I removed him from the stream, and Dr. McMillan is still having problems getting in. So I'm not sure what to do as far as that is concerned. He's in and then he's out and then he's back in and then he's out. So we're just going to continue until he figures that out. Elder Dave, when you get to where you're going, turn the camera back on so we can bring you back into the conversation, please. It was very distracting to see you, to see the walking motion. I want to tell a story. This happened quite some time back, but it stuck with me. I was visiting a friend in an over the hill community, and he owns a little store, a little convenience store. And a little boy walked into the store, and he said to the little boy, "I just see your daddy the other day, and he asked me how you doing." And Mr. Williams, when I tell you that little boy's face lit up like he had just seen Santa Claus. And the boy said, "My daddy asked about me?" And I was heartbroken for that child, because clearly for him to react the way he reacted, clearly his father's not a part of his life. First, for him to light up just to know that his father had a passing thought of him. Obviously, he does not have a relationship with his father. Now, I obviously don't know the circumstances of that, why he doesn't have a relationship with his father. We hear stories all the time about, people using the children as pawns to get back at the other person when they're going through a messy breakup or divorce or whatever, which is absolute stupidity. I don't know the circumstances, but I know this. Parents have to put on their big girl panties and big boy jockeys and stop being so childish when it comes to the rearing of their children, because those innocent children didn't ask to be here. Your behavior, your activities resulted in them coming to planet Earth. So I don't care what is going on between you and that woman. You find a way to have a presence in that child's life. I think far too many of our children are being negatively impacted because their father is MIA. And I don't think these men, now there are some who are trying, in spite of what the mothers are trying to do to be spiteful. And women, if you're listening to me and that's you, stop the madness. Because regardless of what's going on between you and that man, he has a right to be a part of his child's life. If he's trying to be a part of his child's life, let the man be a part of his child's life. Because I can tell you, boy or girl who grows up without that father, it's going to follow them for the rest of their lives. But I wonder, though, Lynden, if men understand how serious a role they play in the development of that child. Because for that little boy, my heart broke for that child. For him to be so overjoyed just to think that his father had a passing thought of him. I want you to speak directly to the men out there who are listening to this show as to why they need to do whatever they need to do to be a part of their children's lives.
Yes, Michelle, I was astonished that the father is asking another child how his child is doing. That's a portion that really got my attention.
The father was asking another adult how his child is doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but if anything, the other person should have been asking the father, not the other way around. So there's a serious problem there. But when it comes to being involved in the child's life, I was telling on Dave's show yesterday how I think some of the best times, or the most time I think I probably invested in my son, or the time I definitely remember the most, it means the most to me, was when he was in preschool. I would pick him up from the school. He spent his first about 6 years or so in Eleuthera, Governor Sabo, and then Palmetto Point. I remember I would pick him up from school, and until sometimes my wife got off from work, she was at the bank, Barclays Bank, and he was right in Governor Sabo. Very often we would go by the sea, and we would walk by the seashore. We would throw shells or do races, or I remember spending a lot of time with him. Unfortunately, when we came to Nassau, he was 6 going on 7. The hustle and bustle of the city prevented me from dealing with, investing some more of that time. But some of the things I found out is that just being there, when I always take vacation during the summer breaks, I always take my vacation, a month's vacation during the summer break, so that I could be with my children. When they were younger, quite often that meant going on the beach. And I remember with my daughter, when she was younger, that would have been every day if she had the opportunity. For him, he wanted to shoot basketball hoops on the outside. And so just being there and doing things with them. But I'll give you another example. I think of my nieces, some of my nieces and nephew. At the ending of every summer, there's an essay you can expect the teacher to ask you to write. What did you do this summer? Mm-hmm. And I remember one of my nieces wrote an essay talking about how she went on this drive and what she did. That was one day out of the entire summer. And she based her summer on that one day. What had happened? Mm-hmm. I had piled all of them up in the car, and we went, this was before Albany was in the picture. We drove right around the outskirts of the island, Long Wharf, Goodman's Bay, right around. Then I don't remember the exact route now. We'd go by the airport, stop, look at the planes coming in, taking off, pick the cocoa plum, drive right around the outskirts of the island, and then come back home. What amazed me, that's the one thing that she wrote of for the entire summer. Mm-hmm. That's the thing she was basically saying meant something to her.
The most
because
impactful.
I was stepping in as father. I was the uncle. Right. But I was the one going to the school and getting report card and talking with the teacher, because why? The father in that case was not there. And so fathers are important. And when you do not have a father, if the father is not in the picture, find one, manufacture one. Find a neighbor, find an uncle, someone in the church, someone from the community, a Toastmasters or Rotary, or someone whom that child can look up to and experience what it means to have a father in their life. Because after a while, when you hear everybody talking about their father, you want to know, where's my daddy? Why isn't he here? Why isn't he around? That's both male and female. And so if we're not doing that, then children grow up with this vacuum in their life. And you find women, young women, getting into toxic relationships with men because they're still looking for that father figure. We find boys getting themselves into trouble and gang, etc., because they're still looking for the leader of the pack. And so the father is very important. But I say, if the father is not around, then find someone who can fill that role as father for those children.
Because truth be told, the father may not be there because he has died. It's not always a situation of abandonment. Sometimes, unfortunately, a man dies, leaving young children behind. And that void is still very much a reality. And I'm so glad that you pointed that out because other men can step in and fulfill that role. It doesn't have to be the person's biological father, but the fathering, what is received from fathering is what is necessary to happen, whether it is from your biological father or not. It's a very, very strong point, and I'm glad you brought that up. Until recently, the need to explain why fathers are necessary would have been regarded as unnecessary, but that's not the case anymore in this modern day society in which we live because we've tampered with the original intent. So in this clip that I'm about to play, author and radio talk show host Dennis Prager explains why this isn't just concerning for us all, but in his estimation, it's also very dangerous.
Are fathers necessary? For all of recorded history, the need to explain why fathers are necessary would have been regarded as, well, unnecessary. It would have been like explaining why water or air is necessary. But we live at a time in which the obvious is routinely denied. There have been articles in the most prestigious journals denying the importance of fathers. The Atlantic magazine, for example, published an article titled, "Are Fathers Necessary? A Paternal Contribution May Not Be as Essential as We Think." The New York Times published a discussion among 5 intellectuals titled, "What Are Fathers For?" One of them, Hannah Rosen, an editor at New York Magazine, opened her response by stating, "I'm not sure whether a child needs a father." I could give dozens of such examples. I'll just give one more. HuffPost published a piece titled, "Fathers Are Not Needed." Fortunately, this dismissal of the importance of fathers is not universal. In a 2008 Father's Day speech a few months before his election as President of the United States, Barack Obama said, "Fathers are critical to the foundation of each family. That they are teachers and coaches, they are mentors and role models, they are examples of success, and they are the men who constantly push us toward it." What makes his comments particularly noteworthy is that Barack Obama grew up without a father. Both boys and girls need fathers. We'll begin with boys. A boy has no built-in understanding about how to be a man, meaning a good and responsible man. Male nature is wild, most obviously regarding sex and violence. If a boy does not have a father who models how a man controls himself, he will most likely not know how to control himself, let alone want to. That's why most males in prison for violent crimes grew up without a father. After days of riots in the UK in 2011, quite like the 2020 riots in America, Christina Adone wrote a column for the London Telegraph, whose title says it all. London Riots, Absent Fathers Have a Lot to Answer For. In the column, she wrote, "The majority of rioters are gang members. Like the overwhelming majority of youth offenders behind bars, these gang members have one thing in common: no father at home. There's no question that many mothers have done an excellent job raising a boy without their son's father, but common sense alone suggests that a mother simply cannot model what a boy should be any more than a man can model to a girl what a woman should be. And then there is the issue of controlling boys and their wild natures. Again, there are mothers who are able to do this, but if a boy is at all difficult, as so many are, as he gets older, most mothers will find it more and more difficult to control their son, because unruly boys listen to their fathers much more than they listen to their mothers, which is precisely why most violent criminals grew up in fatherless homes. They obviously did not listen to their mothers. As regards daughters, the father is the man girls learn to relate to. Without a father to relate to and bond with, there are at least two destructive consequences. First, she will not know how to choose a man wisely. She will not know how a man should treat her, and she may well end up with a man who mistreats her. Second, to fulfill her desire to bond with a man, as primally yearning in most women as bonding with a woman is in most men, she will go from man to man. Girls without fathers in their lives are far more likely to be sexually promiscuous and to begin sexual activity at an earlier age, which in turn are reasons many young women are depressed. Few women find sleeping with man after man fulfilling. Most find it ultimately depressing. Finally, fathers give both sons and daughters the thing children need most: a sense of safety and security. As much as children need love, they need a sense of security even more. And in general, moms give love and dads give security. I learned how necessary fathers are, not only by having one and being one, but by the many people, men and women, of all ages, who have told me that they see me as a father figure. I am honored to fill that role. The good news is that many men can fill it: grandfathers, uncles, teachers, mentors, clergy, and yes, even a man on the radio. But some man has to be your father. I'm Dennis Prager.
Okay, we have been joined in studio by Elder Dave. He didn't tell me he was coming into the studio. And Elder Dave, you got to turn these phone and things off now. If you want to come in here, you gotta follow the studio rules. So, put your phone up so we can see you, though. Yeah. All right. You got to hold that up. Okay. All right. So, now, just for the record, that clip talked about what could happen or may happen in the absence of the father. It's not a guarantee. So, not all women who grew up without a father were promiscuous. But it just showed that what could happen in the absence of a father. And so I don't want to suggest that if you are a boy or a girl or a man or a woman who came up in that environment without the father, that is your ultimate destiny. No. But from the perspective of a woman, there's one thing that he did not mention in that clip that I have to tell you. Even if you do meet the right person and you do get married, you still don't know how to treat a husband because you did not see your mother in a role of wife, or vice versa. If you're a boy who gets married after being raised in a single parent household with only the female present, you won't necessarily know how to treat your wife because you would have never seen your father in that role. I came across a video. I was watching a video on YouTube, not to do with this show, but just watching a video on YouTube of Terrell, I forget his last name, former football player or current football player. You NFL fans would know who he is, Terrell something. I think he's a running back or something like that. And the person who he was talking to, he said to them, I haven't been a very good boyfriend because I honestly don't know what to do because of the way I was raised by all women. I don't know. I've never seen a man, I haven't had that example set for me as to how I should treat that woman. And I thought, wow. And this goes to exactly what we are discussing today. So the thing to understand is that there is purpose in everything, including that family structure. And the original intent was that family structure. So just because we don't know what the purpose is doesn't negate the purpose. And I think this is why we are seeing so many challenges in our society. One of the reasons, I should say, is because, like they said in that clip, much of the world, many people around the world have dismissed fathers. Like, what would we need y'all for? When in reality, that is a part of the original intent for a reason. And just because we don't understand what that is, does not negate the purpose of that structure being what it was supposed to be. I want you gentlemen to chime in on that. Elder Dave, let's get you. What are your thoughts on that?
And because I came, sorry for coming in such a late hour, but anyway, nevertheless, I was sharing some information, and I was in Freeport on the weekend. I was at the Seventh Adventist Church in Freeport Saturday, and I was sharing some information. Give credit to Dr. Peter Joseph, one of the pastors. On his Facebook page, he shared some key points that I shared because I was invited down there to actually speak with men. And I spoke with them from three perspectives, or three pillars, if you want to use the word. One, I always share from the spiritual, I share from the financial, and I share from the physical, because remember, I'm talking to men on Father's Day. But I go back to what Pastor Joseph shared some information where he talked about fathers carrying out the responsibility associated with father to inspire. And this is the key thing: trust and security in the family, right? Trust and security in the family, because that must be key. So the family, they must have that trust. They must know that with that father or that father figure, there is security. It also talked about fathers modeling Christ, right? And so if you can't model, because you know the old saying, the thing going around on WhatsApp where they said the father tell the young man walk. What did he say? I think he said something, be careful where you walk. And then the child responded back and said, hey, you be careful where you walk because I'm walking in your footsteps. So the point is, right, so as fathers, we ought to model, right? We ought to model exactly what we're talking about. It talks about fathers leading the family in the worship service, right? The old saying is to say, don't tell your children, go to church, take them to church. It talks about fathers reminding the children, the family of God's redemptive act. It talks about fathers, and this key, being a provider and a protector. And one may say, I was watching some movies yesterday on BET, and it started with calling them deadbeat dads. And I don't like these negative connotations with men. But anyway, it just painted a picture of father just providing all of the physical, right? And disregarding the spiritual and all the nurturing and everything. But it talked about the fact that as fathers, we ought to provide the food, the clothes, the shelter, and the threats that society bring upon our children. I could remember some years ago with my son, and I had a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. I have two sons, one 28 and another one 15. And we were able to sit down at a restaurant and, just enjoy ourselves. And that was awesome for me. That meant more to me than anything else. But the fact is that I remember my oldest son one time in church, and this church now, you wouldn't believe this, in church. And he told me somebody hit him, right? And like the rage that came up inside of me, right? The rage that came up inside of me, and it was wrong per se, but the point is because I really felt like, hey, you harming my child. This was my first child, obviously at that time my only child, right? My only child, right? And the fact that that they hit him, and that rage came up in me. But nevertheless, but my point is that so as fathers, right, our children must see us as protectors. They must see us as providers. They must know I could go to daddy. They must be able to say, boy, my daddy's strong, boy. You ain't gonna bother with me. And the last point I'll make, it talks about fathers enduring an environment for harmonious decision and the foundation of children. Because the children ought to look up to us as fathers, as father figures, right? They must know that
that trust, that confidence is restored. My sons must be able to say, hey, this is my daddy, this is who we are. Because at the end of the day, the truth is, later on in life, I look at persons I meet, and because I knew their father, right? Because I knew their father, I would do something special for them. And they say, boy, my daddy is so and so. I said, boy, your dad is, I know your dad is. On the negative side, let me get a negative side. As I shared, you have been in prison ministries, and Michelle, the sad part about it, in my 20 years in volunteer service, I have seen where a number of men have asked me to reach out to their sons. Some I've been able to reach out to, and others I have not been able to reach out to. And the next time I encounter them, they incarcerated along with their father. So I'll just leave that there.
All right, Lynden, let's get you in on this. What are your thoughts?
They've covered quite a bit. One of the things I want to say, Michelle, is that I go back to this thing because we didn't have a father active in our life as he should have been. Dave will tell you that. And that's why I labored so much on it earlier. When you don't have that situation, you have to write the rule book, so to speak, yourself. And you're bound to make some mistakes. But I remember one of my friends who became a big brother / father to me, and that was Tyrone Paul. I remember one time I was interested in this young lady in the church. I was probably about 18, 19, somewhere up in there. And he looked at me and in a very nice way said, "You ain't ready for no girlfriend." I look back at that and he was correct. I was not ready. But I was just glad that I had someone. I think of a number of other young persons who were older than I. I was about 18, 19, around that age, 17, 18, 19. And I was in a Sabbath school class with persons who were in their early 20s, generally speaking. Many of them were married, for example. And they sort of mentored me. I heard them discussing relationships. I heard them discussing marriage. I heard them discussing so many other things. And so that group, they mentored me. That was Roger Forbes' young adult class, I would call it. And so that's why I would say it is so important to have a father. But if there is no father, find someone who can be a sort of surrogate father to the children, to help guide and direct them, to bring them up and point them out. Because I can read books until they reach from here to Pluto and back.
Right.
I am not a female. I've never experienced a menstrual cycle. I do not know what it means to experience the body making changes. I don't know what it means to have the mood swings and all the rest of that.
Say some positive things.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, let me put it this way. From the time my daughter was about 5, she's 16 now, I was asking her to help me pick out my necktie to match my suits. I said to my son today, he's a college, well, almost a college graduate. I said, "Joshua, what should I wear for this thing?" He said, "Just wear a shirt like that." He pointed out one to me. So what did I do? I said, "Okay, fine." I said, "Which color?" I went to the bathroom door where my daughter was working. I said, "Which shirt should I wear?" She looked at the two. She said, "This one." And so I chose this one. Some men, they are natural fashion gurus. Most men I know are not. Women in general will run circles around the average male when it comes to dress, color coordination, aesthetics, you name it. Those are things that I just don't have. That's innate in her. From age 5 and 6, she could pick out a necktie to go with my suit. I mean, just like that. So I'm just saying, there's some things I just can't teach her. I cannot teach her how to be a lady, Michelle. I don't have it in me.
I agree.
I can't teach her that. She has skills about nurturing that I naturally, in many ways, don't have. So there are things I just cannot teach her that only a female can teach her. And my mother did her best in bringing her up, but she could not teach me how to be a man. She told us to get trades. She helped us get trades. From I was in grade 6 or 7, I started with a trade, but yet still that didn't tell me what does it mean to be a man. And so we need both together. And I strongly encourage, again, I'm beating this horse, I know, but find a father. If none is in the home, find
Okay, you're starting to break up, and we have a caller on the line. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Develop your boy and your girl.
Go ahead. Caller, welcome to GPS. We lost that caller. Okay, the telephone numbers to call 3260271. I think that's the same person probably calling back. 3260272. 326, yeah, no, 3260271, 3260272 are the numbers to call. And the WhatsApp line, if you want to send us a message, is 824-9952. Is that the caller? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes. Hi, and good afternoon to you, Michelle,
Good
GPS
afternoon.
listeners, and your guests,
Hello.
Good evening.
the nation in general, and the wider global community at large.
Mhm.
Good afternoon. And happy belated, yes, Father's Day to all of the good fathers, all right, on yesterday who celebrated. No disrespect to the bad fathers, but hopefully next Good Friday, Good Father's Day, the bad fathers will be on the good father list. Now, I call in and I said that because I want to make an impact today for 2 minutes. I was married. My children, I have 3 children. They came in marriage. I'm going to rush through it. Bahamian people know where I go in. Now, the bottom line is, this is what I want the male on your show, Mr. Williams and Doctor, I was hoping he would get in, to know. And the men and everyone around the entire planet. Amos Jr. Miller loves his 3 children, not 2, 3. Not the 2 what could walk, 3, including the oldest one which cannot walk, 22 years of age, as of April 10th, 2022. And for 12 straight years, and for the next 12 straight years, Yahweh Elohim's spirit willing, allow me to live. I will argue. I will stand up. I will uproot. I will tear down. I will seek. I will go in the deepest depths of human imagination to get help for Joshua Jared Miller. Joshua Jared Miller. Joshua Jared Miller has suffered, is suffering, and will continue to suffer. As a Bahamian, I hear the women's rights. I hear the other foreigners fighting for rights outside of the Bahamas, looking for rights, but wouldn't go in foreign countries to get the strength to go back in their foreign country and fight. As y'all heard me fight for a boy. This boy represents Amos Jr. Miller. That's me, his father, fighting for the humanity of all Bahamians' rights in this country. Politically speaking, I was of the opinion some prime ministers were Bahamians, meaning full breed. Then we come to find out all of the sitting former prime ministers, including the one sitting now, are Bahamians, but foreign parentage, or whatever the prime minister sitting one calls it. You're a Bahamian, but your origin is foreign. No disrespect, and that is true. No one can take that away out of life.
Amos, stay focused, please. We're talking about fatherhood
All right,
today.
I'm talking about my son. He needs his right leg to go into the hip socket for the last 22 years.
Amos,
now, I'm going right now. I'm going on this one. All I'm asking is for when these men come on your show to remember not every Bahamian man who cannot provide for their children right now, like that good gentleman said, are deadbeat. And we don't work. I don't recognize that. I recognize the egregious acts that have happened against the male in this country, against the Bahamian brothers in this country, more than the Bahamian women, way more. That's why it's less than us and more of y'all ladies. No disrespect. All I'm telling Michelle on this global day, International Global Paradigm Shift Day, Monday, okay, the 20th of June, 2022. I will not even rest in my grave until he gets justice. I only need, Michelle, do you know what it feels like to have your bone out of place?
Okay,
How many
Amos.
times the men in this country have to go to the bar?
Okay, yeah, we got to cut you, Amos, because you're starting to go off track. Okay, and you're eating up precious time. You understand? So, I hope you are able to work things out and get access to your son and all that kind of stuff. But I can't let you take up the whole show talking about your individual situation. We're going to take this quick break. He does raise a point in terms of so many fathers who are being ostracized and kept away from their children. But I want to talk about that specifically on the other side of the break. But we got to take a break. So stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. You are watching GPS.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. My guests today are Lynden Williams and Elder Dave Williams. We're talking about Daddy Dearest, the importance of the father figure. I want to play a clip. Let me just introduce this clip because I was so impressed. And I just have to say that this clip is of excerpts from the presentation. I couldn't play the whole thing because it was too long. But Otto Kelly developed the Daddy Academy to combat the many social ills that are directly or indirectly related to fatherlessness. As a young man, he played football for the University of Nevada, where he studied human ecology. He then embarked on a professional football career playing for the USFL's Philadelphia Stars and then the NFL's Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs before a 1985 injury ended his professional football career. He then returned to Reno, where he spent 11 years as Washoe County's Department of Juvenile Services first gang specialist / community outreach counselor, a role which earned him numerous awards, such as the NAACP Youth Advocacy Award, Nevada's Policy Research Institute's Distinguished Community Service Award, and the Truckee Meadow Community Staff Award, to name a few. In 1999, he responded to God's call on his life and left his job to serve as a full-time pastor focusing on biblical manhood, family preservation, youth advocacy, and community development. Now, he did a TED Talk, and like I said, in its entirety, it would have been too long for me to play on the show. So we're only going to play excerpts from it today. But even so, what you're going to get from this is very powerful. And what he pretty much was talking about was the father wound.
Every single social ill that we're dealing with is directly or indirectly related to fatherlessness. Do you realize that close to 81% of teen pregnancies come from fatherless homes? We're talking 71% of the male population in the penal system right now, fatherless homes. The economic impact cannot even be calculated because it's estimated that 41% of the kids that are in fatherless homes will be poorer than their biological dad. It's unbelievably uncanny, the father rift and the father wound that is so prevalent. We're talking 24 million children right now globally in fatherless homes. This wound is deep. It's extremely deep, and it affects our whole culture. Now, hear my heart when I say this. Mothers, I'm not saying that you're not doing a great job, because you are. But there's certain things that only a father can feel. I didn't have a father growing up. My dad died when I was in middle school. And when he died when I was in middle school, it caused me to grope for a father figure. I learned that me fathering others, I can vicariously father myself. I can heal the father wound in me by fathering others. It's something that is deeply rooted within us, an affirmation that we must have. All of us have that desperate need. All of us have that desire to recognize that we're of worth. Because see, this is a global issue, a global thing in which only men are the answer. Our daughters, they need us. Our families, they need us. And so I'm going to ask something great of you, men. I want you to picture the best father. I want you to picture him encouraging you, telling you he's proud of you, telling you that you're the best. This is what I challenge you and I need for you to do. Go and be that very thing that you've just envisioned to those around you, because it will change the trajectory of their lives. All you need to do is be compassionate. All you need to do is be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, and you can change the lives of many. There was a movie that came out that I really enjoyed. It's called Boys in the Hood. One day in the scene, he grabs his son and he takes him outside and he says, I want you to rake these leaves. And he sees his friends, his buddies, his son's buddies across the way. And he calls them over and says, hey, I want you to do me a favor. I want you guys to rake these leaves. I'll give you $5 for it. The kids say, man, $5 ain't, and I'll let you fill in the blanks. They leave, and he looks at his son. He says, son, I know that you think I'm being hard on you, but I'm trying to teach you responsibility. You see those guys over there? They don't have a father. And you're going to see how they end up. Now, the movie was great, and this character played a great role, but the frustrating thing I had about that is that he pronounced a prophecy over their lives. And unfortunately, they ended up the very way he thought they would. Question is this: how much more finances would have it taken him to simply take them with his son fishing? To take them with his son as he takes them bowling? The eternal difference that could have taken place as a result of him going outside of his comfort zone and beginning to invite those young men would have changed their lives. Be the father that you've always wanted. Be the dad that you just envisioned to others. And not only will you heal them, you will vicariously father yourself through fathering others. It is a win-win situation. So I ask you, men, take it up and stand, because in you, things can change. In you, a life that is going one direction can be changed by some positive affirmation from a father.
All right, perfect. Let's add Elder Dave back to the stream. You need to adjust that so that we can see more less of the ceiling. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. That's better. All right. In essence, what he is saying is that even if you didn't have a good father yourself, you can actually father yourself by fathering others. What are your thoughts on that? Lynden, let's start with you while Dave is fixing his camera. Lynden? Is Lynden frozen?
I must say I like the concept. Yeah, because when I think about it, by helping others, you help yourself. As a pastor, I tell individuals that you grow stronger in your faith as you share it with others. And it's like the man who was 2-3 individuals walking in the snow. One was too weak to go further. He took the guy, internet problem there, put him on his shoulder and walked with him. And as he walked with his companion who was too weak to carry, he was using extra energy, which resulted in him getting a little warmer, and it saved his life because the companion who was just walking by himself, who did not want the burden of carrying the third friend who could not walk any further, eventually died due to hypothermia. And so by helping others, he's basically saying we're helping ourselves. And like I said, I've never thought about it, but I do like the idea of fathering someone in order to father yourself.
Elder Dave, let's hear from you. I need you to get this camera sorted out, man. Okay, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts?
What I want to do is ask me the question again.
Okay. Yes. All right. The clip talked about how he didn't grow up with a father,
right,
but he found that by fathering others,
yes,
he was fathering himself in the meantime. The lessons that he would have learned just from trying to be the good father that he was. And one of the techniques that I thought that he did that was so powerful is he talked about he had all of the gentlemen in the room close their eyes.
Okay.
And he said to them, I want you to imagine the best father that you could have had or did have. Imagine the best father, what that looks like. And then he said to them, now open your eyes and go out there and be that father. Be the father that you envisioned. Put your other phone at the base of that one to stop it from sliding. So, and his point was, in doing so, you actually will father yourself if
right,
you did not have that father. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think both my brother and I would definitely have to agree in the sense that we did not grow up with a father. Like he said, our father was not in the home. And as a result of us going out and mentoring boys, it helped for our own personal. Let's look at an example. I know I grew up in Boys Brigade, right? Lynden might have grown up in Pathfinder. And so as a result of it, as us getting involved with young men, it taught us, right? And also, the fact that we did not grow up with a father is why I believe this passion is in us for men, because recognizing the importance of there are many men out there.
Knowing what you did not have.
Right. That's correct. And I go back to as I was saying, when I look at prison, this is why I think I was drawn to prison ministries. When I look at the amount of young men like I gave the example of the 80% and maximum one time, and I was speaking to them who grew up without a father. And so that itself caused or placed in me that desire to want to mentor men, to reach out to men. And basically for the last so many years, that's what I've been doing, reaching out to men, to boys, even what it has done for me. When I think about, I can remember some years ago, a bunch of young men, very young men were gathered together. And I used to, at a building, and I used to run them. We run them. They ain't want if you're hanging around this building, they ain't want you hanging around them. Then I thought about it. But if I want to mentor men, these are men who don't have a father figure. Why don't I change? And that's exactly what happened. I was impressed. And I called them together, about 6 or 7 of them. And I said, what do you all want to do? They said they want to wash cars. So I went down to the place here on Marquis Street, bought all of the car washing equipment for them. And they started a car wash. So I'm just saying, more of us as men, in agreeing with the speaker, we did not grow up without a father, but we need to mentor more boys, more men, in order to help them understand and know what it's like to have a father figure in their lives.
I hear this from time to time when talking to males, and they talk about how it is so almost daunting to think of the heavy weight of responsibility. And this is why they believe some men run away. Once a woman becomes pregnant, they hear about it and they go on. They ain't hanging around because they don't want to carry the weight of that responsibility. And so, I want to speak to that man in particular because I know Pastor Miles used to say it all the time that, a man would come to him and say, boy, Pastor Miles, this is a heavy weight. And he said, yeah, but you were built for that.
Mm-hmm.
You were designed to carry that. So as opposed to running away from it, you need to run toward it because that is what is going to help to define your manhood. And I always used to think that is so powerful. I think that men need to understand that true leadership cultivates rather than dominates. Because especially for a man who has not had that father figure role, they may think that their physical strength is so that they could, abuse a woman or keep her in her place. When the truth is that physical strength is put there for you to be a protector, not an abuser. That you have within you the power to mold the lives of future generations. And you should embrace that as opposed to run away from that weight, because as Pastor Miles said, you wired to carry that. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Go ahead, Pastor Williams.
Yeah. Excuse me. When I think about the whole concept of responsibility, from my own little experience, men like responsibility. They enjoy a certain level of leadership in some form or the other because it helps us to affirm who we are. Society looks upon us as leaders, as individuals to bring, who will show a certain level of responsibility. And generally speaking, men tend to be more left brain, where we look at things as in a very logical, orderly fashion. This needs to be done, that needs to be done. Take charge, go get it. That's something that is generally, both sociologically, we experience, as well as to some degree, I believe, biologically, whereby, like you said, we're wired to do these sort of things. And when we're not doing them, we're not taught how to do them. We're not seeing others model it. It creates a level of dissonance that it's hard to reconcile. How do I do this? What does it mean to be a man? Is it okay to cry?
I can let you finish your thoughts right now, because we say to boys, be a man, be a man, be a man. But who telling them how to do that if their father ain't there? And so it must be a source of frustration. I just have to get that in. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it is also conflicting, because when the boy becomes a man and he does not know how to show compassion or maybe sympathy or empathy with his wife, his companion, then we say, well, something is wrong with him. But when he shows a level of sympathy, compassion, he knows he cries or something because he falls down, he is criticized. Well, oh, get up, be a man, can't do that. So he grows up learning that crying is not manly.
You can't show your emotion.
Yes, you cannot show that type of emotion. He must be rough and tough. And so he goes into a relationship with these same ideas and he begins acting them out. And so the whole concept of manhood, what it means to be a man. One, I would tell an individual, get into the word of God. We look at Jesus, who displayed various aspects. When the situation called for it, he made some whip and told these guys, in a threatening manner, get these things out of the temple. Another time he took the tables and he turned them over. But we also see him where he took little children on his knees. So he demonstrated that paternal aspect. We see him at Lazarus' tomb where he cried, he wept openly. And so when we look at the entire thing, in many ways, society, both male and female, have twisted the plot as to what it means to be a man. And we need to revamp, reset the clock, so to speak, and figure out, hey, how does God see man? How does a man behave by himself with a female, towards females, towards other males? What is it that society may be asking us to do that we're not doing? What is society asking us to do that we should be doing? And so we need a reset of the entire clock, Michelle, just looking at the whole concept of manhood, because I'm going to put this in here and then I'm going to stop. We have a statement today where they say, one time ago, it was the man is king of his castle. His word was law. That was it. Now, the paradigm, the pendulum has swung to the other direction where it's happy wife, happy life. So we went from one extreme to the other extreme. And I think it's time we begin to let that pendulum settle somewhere in the middle there so that he is not so dominant that the woman cannot say anything. On the other hand, you don't want him so passive that he has to do everything that she says. So we need to bring that pendulum in the center, and I dare say for both male and female, because I don't think we have found that right balance for either sex over the years.
What are your thoughts, Elder?
I'm going to put in a plug for this Sunday, Michelle, right on Global 99.5. And on our program, we have a lady coming on, Patrice Lockhart. She's coming on with part 2. Her topic is menopause, what a man or woman should know. That's powerful. So for me, it begins with education. And so for me, I think that every man should listen to a program like that, because what it taught us, what it'll teach us, right? How to understand when, in the case of whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance, when certain things are displayed, when certain things are happening, it now helps you. Just listening to her on part 1, it taught me so much. I mean, and I 50 plus, Michelle, never knew the stuff. And so listening to her, and then Sunday coming 4 to 5 on our program, Transforming Lives on Global 99.5, she'll be telling us part 2. So you can imagine now, if you have so many men just sitting there and just listening, you'll begin to understand now why, when you told that wife or that girlfriend, you thought she was going crazy, or you thought she's having a mental breakdown. But all of these things were the result of changes that were taking place in our body. So my point is, I think it begins with education. As men, as fathers, as prophets, as priests, as kings, we need to continually seek to educate ourselves.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. Do you believe that, we see alarming rates of brutality against women and children? The numbers are far too high in this little country. The number of violent rapes and, reports of child abuse and sexual abuse and all this kind of stuff, often at the hands of men, angry men. Could it be that many women and children in our society are being brutalized at such an alarming rate because some men, not all, are angry, and because that anger stems from the frustration of not knowing how to be a man in an age of empowered women? What are your thoughts on that?
Even that may be a part of it too, but based on as I was sharing with you the classes that Kendra Bow and I did, my partner, on the gender-based violence class, and we did a class specifically. I think I said this before. It was tailor-made for 25 sex offenders, as well as persons who were actually incarcerated for the physical violence against women and girls, right? So that class had 25 persons identified, specifically sentenced for that. But I said it to you to say, but some of the things we discovered were, in the case of some of the men, talked about the hurt they went through, right? I can remember one gentleman talked about how a relative took his virginity, young boy and innocent, So I'm saying I also believe, and then another thing which confirmed this for me, sex offender who I had the opportunity to interact with, who was staying at the transitional home, and I met with his brother just 2 weeks ago in Freeport, right? And he came out of prison, and his name was displayed, and then they found him dead, right? But I can leave that part alone, right? They found him dead. I know him personally, like I said, because he was in my class. I interact with him at the transitional home. But my point is, his brother said something that was powerful that I never knew.
About his background.
His background.
Yeah.
Right. And when his brother said that, then it helped me to understand more about him. Not that we make an excuse, right? We're not making an excuse for what he did, and it was wrong. But it helped me to understand more.
What happened to him?
What happened to him?
Right.
So that's the root. We got to address the root.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lynden?
Yes. Dave finished on something that I want to pick up. What is the background? Does the man know how to express himself verbally? Has he developed the communication skills? Has he been encouraged to develop the communication skills rather than, you running on like a woman? But if you don't let him talk and express himself, then you get frustration. I've heard, I don't know, that sometimes when males are physically abusive, is because they feel a sense of powerlessness. You've never been taught, or you don't know how to express yourself, maybe how to cry, as the case might be, or how to relate to your emotions. But they've made something talk about what is the background, and this here applies to men and women. In the Bahamas, we have a stigma about getting help with mental challenges, male and female. We don't believe in it, but I've been to counselors, professional counselors before to seek help. I've seen, based on just what I have learned in counseling and through my reading, etc., that a good portion of the population, definitely males, are in need of professional counseling, that there's something in their background which is causing them to display what I call negative behavior.
Right.
And if they can find out what is the root, why is it that when this happens, you go and perform this behavior?
What is triggering you? Yeah.
Yes. What's the reason? What's the background behind it? We can solve that and drop the stigma that there's nothing wrong in seeking professional help. I'll give you one example, Michelle.
No, don't give me that example, because we have a caller on the line. We got to take a caller. Caller, welcome to Dearest.
Madam, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Yes. Good afternoon to your panel there.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm going to go quick. I kind of confused, and I'm a little bit upset in terms of men, when it comes to men. And my sister, Madam Malcolm, we're not going to fight today. I love you like a brother. and I want you to hear me. I want men to hear me. I don't believe some women have a clue on the function of man. They have so much to say, but don't have a clue how man function. It's just like a man don't know how a woman function in some cases, because God already told us the ways of a woman we'll never ever find out. I'm angry. Let me say this. I was structured. I'm talking personally for me. I was structured by a two-parent. I make circle around my mother. But when the king reached my father, the late Vernal Montana McKenzie, I had to respect protocol. My father, his brothers, they mentor me. My father had two brothers who were pastors, just like Sister Malcolm in there. Don't let a bush crack you. Her uncle was one of the greatest teachers in this country, Duke Smith. But you all have a liberalized the traditional values, and they don't want to hear people like Duke Smith and those no more. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Duke Smith, one of the greatest teachers this country I've ever had. Let me say this. There, until we understand the conspiracy against men not being mentor, I keep hearing men are not qualified, etc. And I'm still asking the question. Everything about negative about men being called dogs even. Why then some of our sisters want to pick up fleas? Why is it that you want to pick up fleas? 60% of the children born out of wedlock with our sisters picking up fleas. But nobody want to address that. Duke Smith and those used to teach the structure of the family. Duke Smith, Reverend Heboyne, and the Bahamas Christian Ship Fellowship was speaking. They teach on the structure of the family. But you got all these sisters calling on God, but never been married, but pick up fleas and say they can mentor boys. I have 2 beautiful daughters, and they treat me like a king yesterday. You know why? I see how my father showed my mother love. I show them love, and they then turn it back in return. I celebrate with my grandchildren. The family structure is eroded in this country, and I want to salute Bishop Ellis on his message yesterday. I heard on YouTube. He taught on it. He preached on it. Duke Smith and those used to preach on that. Most of the children in this country have fleas on them. And I'm not saying that in a negative terms. We keep saying man have to be mentor. 60% of the children born out of this country, men born out of this country, out of wedlock, never been mentored, but you want him to be a man. It cannot happen. I was mentored by my father, but I thank God for some grace that Duke Smith taught me about. Now we want positive results. When we done liberalize all the traditional values, now we're trying to find excuse. No, let's go back to the landmark like Duke Smith and those had. Got these sisters wrong here, pushing out your church about the Holy Ghost and all that, and they don't have all these fleas on them.
All right, caller, you've made your point.
I am angry with some of these sisters who talk about they understand man. They don't understand me. I am a 100% alpha male man, and God give me dominion, and I intend to give it away. You're talking about gender equality. They just fight for these old stupid liberal values, but gender equality. Get your house in order. You know your children ain't in order. You compromising with these boys. I've been shot by an unmentored boy. You know that, and now you come and talk to me. Come on, man, get your house in order. Your sisters, some of you all know you're compromised with these boys with that fleas. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for calling.
Dr. P.
Yeah, mouthful. Wow. For the record, because he and I always get into it. I have never, ever suggested on this show that I believe in traditional family values and structures. I just believe that I should be allowed to fulfill my purpose as a female, regardless of the fact that I am a female. And I often say that it's not to say that men should not be empowered. I just don't think that women should be. Anyway, that's another show. I don't want to take time go in there because he's right. I was raised in a church with Duke Smith as my uncle and pastor, and raised on traditional family values. And I have never, ever spoken out against that. We have another caller on the line. Let's take this call and then we're going to go to a break. A caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, quick question. Michelle.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, gentlemen, how is it possible under the Bahamas? How is it possible? A man like me, my job was taken. The government could hear me making noise on all the talk shows, especially this good, great, blessed show. I ain't doing nothing about it. But they won't talk with man and fathers. Another question, how is it? All of these murders, what my brother Pete talked about, and I heard Brother Pete talk on many different shows how he got shot and how his friend was killed. He didn't tell you all that part. His friend died in that incident. Now, how is it these little children who killing people, and I'm talking to the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, especially the Minister of Tourism, who interfere into my job in this country. How is it the mothers of these murderers could find thousands of dollars to get that teenage child, in some cases, off the third murder? But Amos can't find a couple $1,000 when I could go on my job and wait for it, and y'all will talk to me. Listen to me. I have the rest of my life to deal with the corruption. I can take my time. I ain't no rush. I can take my time.
Okay, Amos. Thank you so much for calling. Gentlemen, y'all want to respond to any of that, or should I just go to the break?
Yeah, no, nothing I can say.
Yeah. We have another caller? All right, caller, welcome to GPS.
How you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I'm on. It sounds so great. Listen, whenever you have these people on, the men on, come on now, you gotta find the. Look here, I have nothing against these two guys on the radio, gentlemen on the radio. I'm sorry, I don't mean to disrespect them, but there's another point of view, like Dr. P. Dot, the man before me, was trying to explain to you. When a man tries to put his influence in the little boys we're growing up, we get a lot of flack from the females, and they will tell you right off the top, no, he ain't doing that, she ain't doing that. So what the gentleman gonna do? They're gonna walk away. Come on now, I'm not gonna force myself on anybody, but I promise you this, and I'll make it short because I know you're going on a break. I promise you this: I have never had a child in my life. But I have I won't say a million. I have a lot of grandkids. And I was sitting outside the other day, right on Nassau Street and South Street. And these young ladies came out just passing out gifts for fathers. Now, that is to be respected. But when you think about where the mentality of those young girls come from, you will see that there is a balance between growing up with all male influence or all female influence. We need a balance.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. We're going to take a quick break because I want to switch gears on the other side of the break and talk about the importance of affirmation of a father. So we're going to talk about that. We only have 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, Contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Track Life, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to the show. We're calling the show today Daddy Dearest, the importance of the father figure. And in this tribute to fathers, former NBA player turned motivational speaker Walter Bond encourages fathers to change their children's perspective.
My college career was over. I got offered a job to become a hospital administrator. 2-year program, $75,000 job. And right before I took the job, my daddy called me on the phone. Let me tell you about my daddy. When I was a little boy, my daddy would always pick me up. When he came home from work, he picked me up. When he saw me in the nursery after church, he picked me up. No matter how long he worked, no matter how tired he was, my daddy would always pick me up. So when I had my kids, I would always pick up my kids. When I got home, sometimes I was tired. They have a bottle in one hand, and they just lifted up the other hand, and they knew what daddy was supposed to do. My job was to pick them up. This is a spiritual interaction. When you pick up a child, it is a spiritual transaction. When you pick up a child, you change their perspective. When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done, there is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict, I don't care, pick her up. My son messes up, I don't care, pick him up. I don't care. You pick them up. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective. My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up. He would always change my perspective. So my daddy called me on the phone, he asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year, what's next? I said, Dad, I'm gonna be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? You can't outproduce your self-image, son. If you don't think so, go take the job. But if you believe you're an NBA player, go for it. My dad had the self-control and discipline and waited for my answer. And my answer was yes. You're right, Dad. I can't work the rest of my life. But playing in the NBA is a dream I've had ever since I was a little boy. He said, go for it, son. I limped back into my coach's office with a cast on my foot. I said, Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA? I asked that question 4 years in a row. With tears in his eyes, he said, son, when I recruited you, I heard you was a mama's boy. But I'm here to tell you, you're just like your daddy. But what do I need to do to play in the NBA? He said, do two things you can play in the NBA. Lose 20 pounds and shoot a three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I think you should be a motivational speaker, son, but if you lose 20 pounds and shoot a three-point shot with range, you can play in the NBA. I lost 20 pounds, and every day I would shoot 500 shots a day, every single day. I got invited to training camp with the Dallas Mavericks, and not only did I make the team, I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the Dallas Mavericks to start opening night. Could you imagine what was going through my mind? I had not started a basketball game since high school. I got to the arena and they dimmed the lights and they put the spotlight right on me. Right through the spotlight, I saw my mom, my dad, and all my brothers and sisters. They surprised me at the game. Then I saw my dad. And I just pumped my fist. And he pumped his fist. And tears streamed down my face. Thank you for all those timeouts. Thank you for making sure I was always home when the streetlights came on. Thank you for making sure I could always hear your voice. Thank you for always changing my perspective.
Lifting your children up, affirmation, the importance of affirmation. Pastor Lynden, let's start with you.
There's a passage I want to read, John chapter 8.
Gotta be quick because we only
verse
got
49.
Yeah.
Jesus answered, I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. If the Son of God, the creator of the world, had a need to be recognized for who he was and what he did, and what do you think would little old me?
How much more us? Okay, Elder Dave, final thoughts, real quick, 30 seconds.
I just want to encourage us to continue to uplift the men in our life and offer condolences to the family of that gentleman who died at the prison yesterday, shortly after we had a service for 150 fathers.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it. My time is gone. 4 o'clock. Got to get out of here. We will be back tomorrow with another great show, so make sure you tune in. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good afternoon.